Pretty low.
Hello, welcome to Toffee TV. It is the club call with our new thumbnail of David Moyes.
Oh, where is it?
It's it's David Moyes, classic, in the towel.
In his towel.
We had 3 or 4 options, but
cool.
I think that's the one that's always going to win, is David Moyes in a towel, answering the phone.
Good job he cropped it, though.
It crops itself. It crops itself, to be honest. Yeah, there you go. So, the title is, can Everton make it back-to-back victories? I mean, what a time to be alive.
Why not?
Yeah.
Been there before and had an unexpected win.
Right, I'm going to make something very clear right now. If anyone puts that thing that I don't like in the comments, they are getting binned. So, David Graham, see ya. Just wanted to make sure that didn't happen again. Just wanted to make that very clear.
Okay.
Brighton, are you having it, John?
Is that an editorial decision, or just you've got the power of the button?
I've got the power of the button.
Okay. It's not free speech, is it?
It is free speech. It's my speech.
That's what I mean. So it's
it's not free. There's no such thing as free speech. Not anywhere.
So you exercise the behaviour that you criticise in others.
No. I can.
Yeah, of course we can go to Brighton and win.
Yeah,
of course we can.
Yeah.
I just think back to the glorious day when we stood there watching us score goals for fun. Yeah, thinking. This weekend, we're all more optimistic than we were that weekend. So other outcomes are possible. But yeah, I mean, I'm going down Friday because
that's what you do, isn't it?
It's too big a gig to go down on the day.
Yeah. What time you get there Friday?
Mid-afternoon.
Oh, so you get to walk on the promenade and stuff.
Yeah.
Did you have a break up here?
They do. They have more than one. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's what I like. Yeah.
So don't you believe? Yeah. Do you think we can go there and win?
Well, put it this way. We've gone there in the last few years, and it didn't seem likely that we were going to get anything, and we got stuff.
So does that mean we get the opposite now?
No, because nothing's changed. Because we're playing the worst thing is we're not exactly playing a side who aren't in form. We're playing a team who are in form. Yeah. So it's a case of it's going to be a difficult game because they're a good side, but. We face them with our new enthusiasm and believe that we can get something. I think if you believe you can get something, that you can get something.
Of course.
And that means you try.
Yeah. Faith can go a long way.
Which is the difference between the Sean Dyche of 2 years ago and the Sean Dyche of this season, is that one believed he could go and win games and had a plan to win games, and one simply this season did not believe his team could win games of football.
Which was mad, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's the important bit. I think most of us, if not everybody, who knows, are at least expecting a performance where we don't come out thinking, they didn't even have to try very hard to win. We just and I'm not talking about making ourselves hard to beat.
Yeah, I'm
talking about us being in the game.
Yeah.
And you're not in the game when you set out with a policy of we're going to stand 25 yards from our goal and hope that poor guy with 9 on the back up front can keep hold of the ball long enough for some loping tall guy to turn up in time to try and create a chance.
Absolutely.
So let's see. And what happened the other night will at least make Brighton think we're now playing a different Everton than we might have been playing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And everyone will have that problem.
Yeah.
And if David keeps saying, I'm still experimenting, I'm still finding what I've got, he's indirectly saying, you can't just now predict how we're going to play because I don't know.
Yeah.
So have you done your starting 11?
No.
Okay.
Don't know who's available.
Okay.
Not
going to do it way in advance.
No, because that would be just stupid.
Do you always do it after the presser, do you?
Always.
What time's that tomorrow? Half 1, is it? Or?
I think so. Don't think it's out there yet.
Okay.
Toffee Pezza, thank you for becoming a YouTube member. Give us a call. We got a couple waiting now. We're going to get one on straight away. But things to cover tonight, if possible, and I want to hear people is. Ooh. Did you get your season ticket today?
Oh yes,
the second tier today. So did you
started today?
Did you get it? Let us know. Did you get what you want? Did you not get what you want? But how did you? What have you? Have you changed it? Have you whatever? If you did get it, and you got the direct debit. If you got a direct debit, what admin fees? I'd like to hear about admin fees as well, because I heard earlier that the admin fees
50 odd quid.
50 odd quid, and if that's true,
it's a bit heavy.
Then that is heavy. And also the price of the tickets for the cup game against Bournemouth, £35. I know a lot of people not happy, including I think the fans forum not happy about it. So, what's the feelings there? £35. Is that something we've got to get used to? I've seen people say that's something. Well, do you know what? We're not in the new stadium yet. We're still very much in Goodison Park, and it's the 4th round of the FA Cup. £35 to me is a little bit. I think that's a little bit. They've gone from one to another really, really quickly. So
we can compare and contrast that perhaps with the Brighton and Chelsea tickets, but also if we remember, if we can. When we talk about it, let's talk about the conundrum of Brighton, which is fundamentally bragging about low FA Cup prices whilst they're doing what they're doing on season tickets for next season.
There's always a trade-off. Always. But what did we pay for our third round? £15.
20, wasn't it?
Was it 20? So I don't understand why you can jump.
Was it 25 for full adults anyway?
25.
Because it's basically, I think it's £10 more expensive this round. Because I think I tweeted last week, we need a full ground, not £10 on a ticket. Now, clearly, if the football club think that even at the prices they've set, the ground's going to be full, then that's extra revenue, which hopefully turns into footballers.
Yeah.
But at a time when people are paying a lot of money to get into the new ground, and we've got a series of away games that are far away, and all of the above, it just stretch everyone's wallet, doesn't it?
Yeah. It's just definitely.
No matter how loyal you are.
No. I mean, you've got to factor that in as well. You've got to factor in timing. You've got to factor in people dropping a lot of money on a season ticket and maybe not going down the direct debit route because of the extra surcharges. To going, you know what? I could actually. We play loads of home games actually in the next few weeks. Do I really need to go to that Bournemouth game? The Derby game's a few days later. Might go for a few drinks before that one. Save the money that I was going to pay for a cup ticket to go to that one. I'm just getting into, that's what happens. That's what people have to make choices in this day and age, and especially, not long after Christmas as well. People will still be paying for Christmas. A lot of people, if they've thrown stuff on credit cards or Klarna or Monzo or whatever, do you know what I mean? And it's people are still paying a lot of money. So
I do, and I think, and we talked about it ever so briefly offline, didn't we? Just before we came on, about clearly the fans forum issued a statement of disappointment, I suppose. Yeah. Well, indirectly, that tells us that the fans forum were not consulted. Now, you can't consult on everything. No. But I would have hoped that someone in the football club would think, you know what, we're effectively increasing the full adult price by what? If it was £25 and it's going up to 35, it's more than 30%, isn't it? More than a third. Let's just bounce this off the fans forum, or at least give them a heads up of the logic or whatever. But instead, it has to be reactionary.
Yeah,
it has to be. Someone has to complain before you think you need to talk about something.
I do think it's a bit of a jump, like. But James, who've we got? Sharpie. Let's get Sharpie on then.
A Sharpie.
It's the Sharpie down on the south coast.
Oh, we're on the south coast.
I've added him, but he's muted.
Well, Sharpie, unmute yourself. Otherwise, it's going to be a really, really bad call.
Yeah.
Yes, no.
We can come back to him. There's another one.
Go on, get the other one on, because we don't want to be wasting time. Dead air. Keep him in there. We'll get him on in a minute. Who've we got now?
This is Gaz.
Come on, then. Get him on. Come on,
Gaz.
Come on. Come on, James.
No pressure.
Come on.
Hello.
Someone's there.
There you go. All right.
I can't hear anyone.
I can.
I can't hear him.
John, just a minute. Yeah, John, you can hear me, mate.
I need my volume to be turned up, but I do know you're there. But the other two,
I've just heard someone, James. But I can't hear him very loud.
No, need the volume up.
Can you hear me coming
through?
Yeah,
you guys, you're just not very loud. We're just waiting for James to turn it up.
Clearly a soft-spoken chap. Yeah.
Okay. No, it's Sharpie, mate.
Oh, Sharpie's there now.
Gas.
Oh,
Sharpie, go on.
Oh, the other way round then.
Yeah, we got there. And I was just
higher, please.
I was just looking at the players and who we should get rid of in the summer, and just looking through. You might agree with some of them, you may not. Looking at the defence, Mikolenko, I don't think he's good enough. I think you agree with that on Ped. He's a weird one, isn't he? I think we got to let him go just because he just doesn't get forward enough.
Do we have to let him go?
What do you mean?
Why do we have to let him go?
I mean, we should sell him, I should say.
No, but why do we need to sell him?
I just don't think he's good enough.
Yeah, but surely that makes him a squad player. Then don't you just have to replace him because we've only got one left back. Surely we need to replace him. But does that mean we have to sell him?
I guess so. Yeah, I mean, you could look at it that way. If you
I think
want
we
him
have
as
a bit of an
backup.
issue, you know, with that we've got 12 players out of contract anyway.
Yeah. I mean,
so
okay, of course, I'm talking.
Yeah.
I'm not intended. We will replace them. We'll have to replace them. I've got quite a few players here, but just in terms of how they perform and their role within the squad, I just don't think Mikalenko's good enough. And would he be happy as a backup? Probably not. Anyway. And we could probably get a bit of money back for him, I'd imagine. At least get half our money back. I think we paid about 20 mils for him. So yeah, I would probably sell him, to be honest.
Okay.
And get someone else much cheaper as a backup for a potential better player, if you know what I mean.
So we've got to get rid of one left back and get two.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But the backup being someone a bit younger who we can maybe train up essentially,
Okay.
and they will be a backup. So, yeah, I mean, what do you think? Do you think we should keep him as backup then, lads?
Yeah, I do. I think Mikalenko isn't for me a starter, but I think you've got to have a squad, and you've got to be. For me, I'd keep Mikalenko. I don't.
Would he want to?
Who cares what he wants? He's under contract. I couldn't care less. I couldn't.
Okay.
I don't really factor in players' feelings. They're there to do a job, and if they're not good enough, then get better. And I think half of the problem with Everton is players aren't pushed to get better because they don't need to, because they just
Lack of
play every single week without anyone challenging them. Get someone in who's as good as them. Better than him, and then ask him to step up and be better than him.
Right.
And if he can't do that, then yeah, see you later. But
right. So you're saying keep him as a backup based on the fact that he might improve with a bit of competition.
Well, for me, you just have to buy better players all the time than what you've got, and that pushes the player you've got down to being on the bench. And if they aren't happy with that, then you can start to look for someone better. But then the person you start to look for should be better than the left back you are playing, and that's how you build a better team and a better squad all the time.
And I suppose we've got other priorities as well, more offensive priorities to take care of first. Okay, yeah. If an offer come in, it would definitely be worth listening to for sure. Keane, yeah, I think he's going to be going at the end of the season for sure, right? There's no way he's going to be staying. Slightly controversial one, Decore. I think we should get rid of him, to be honest. It's just, I mean, last season he got 6-7 goals, something like that. And he's one of the highest earners, I believe. So I think he's got to go. He's just not really the player that he has been. I just don't think he's worth it. So I'd probably get rid of him. Harrison as well. We've been really disappointed. I really quite enjoyed when he first started for us. He looked really lively, and I thought, he's going to do well. And then he just petered off. And again, I think he's pretty high earner, 80, 90 grand or something. Again, all rumours, not sure. Get rid of him. Lindstrom's an interesting one because I think before the game, I was thinking Lindstrom's just not made up for this league. He just doesn't seem to be right. But then he pulls out that performance the other day, so I'm kind of a bit on the fence about him. Do you think he could go on to do good things for us, Lindstrom, or you're on the fence with him?
John?
There's a couple of things here I'd like to say. I guess the first thing is, and I know we're talking about who we get rid of, yeah. But these loan players, Lindstrom being one, of course, Mangala, Harrison, we do nothing. They all leave, so we don't have to make a decision. Our decision is whether we want to retain them or not. Yeah. Lindstrom, I would, if we could price it right, and assuming that the form we saw the other day is one that he can repeat, I think he's worthy of a contract because I think we'd get him at a good price as well. And certainly his salary would be lower than some of the players going out. I do think you're right, by the way. Decore is probably the highest earner. If you look at Spot Rack or something, he's on about 130 grand a week. Of those who are out of contract, you end up with decisions to make. And I think the only ones for me that I have to make a decision about, i.e. I'm not totally convinced yay or nay, is Ganagay, Lindstrom, Mangala, and of course Calvert-Lewin. The others...
You're on the fence about Gay, really? Got to keep him. That's a
Well,
no-brainer.
it's
That's
about how much you want to pay him because he's the second highest earner. How long the contract is? I'm saying
He's
unsure.
worth it. He's worth it. He's one of our better players. You got
So
to pay him the money.
okay. So what are you going?
No.
How long a contract are you going to give him then, and how much are you going to pay him?
Definitely at least a year, of course. How much should I pay him? Oh, I don't know. But
On an assumption he doesn't want to take less. He's already on 120 grand a week.
Is that what he's on now? Is it?
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
But anyway, while you're having a think, that's what
Yeah.
I'm talking about. That these not sures, or the maybes, I'll call them, are the ones you have to think, can we get the price right? Can we get the contract length right? And that, to me, is Gay, Lindstrom, Mangala. Calvert-Lewin I have a real issue with because the guy wants to leave. He's made it very, very clear he wants to leave. And it would be an easy decision to give him a new contract and let him stay, right? But we could end up with a guy on a 3-year contract who goes back to being the one who's comfortable and not, and all that sort of stuff. The easy ones, to me, are Decore, Harrison, Keane, Coleman. Not leave the club, but probably leave the playing side of it. Brozier, if it's not happened yet, it will happen soon enough, won't he? Yeah. And then the Ashley Young one, which I think me and Baz debated not so long ago about whether you keep him around for his experience and in the dressing room type stuff. And then the easy ones to say yes to, probably the two keepers if they want to stick around, because Pickford doesn't get injured very often, certainly doesn't get suspended, if at all. And both Virginia and Begovic don't get paid very much. But Virginia must be at an age now when he wants to play. So some of these things may be taken out of our control, mightn't they? But those 14 players, they currently cost us £40 million a year in wages.
And that's what we're talking about.
We've got a huge opportunity to reset here with a load of youth, and players with higher ceilings and all those sorts of things. And I thought your opening gambit around the fullback was an interesting one, because I'm with Ped, by the way. While Ped's saying get a better player, I personally think that for Mykolenko, you can buy a player who might be a better player the season after, or part way through this season. In other words, he's solid enough and consistent enough, albeit not what we need in the Premier League, for you to say exactly what Ped said. You bring in a youngster on a relatively low transfer fee, who's got the attributes, physicality, pace, and those sorts of things, who can learn from assistant managers like Leighton Baines as a coach and all those sorts of things. And just say to Mykolenko, this guy's going to take your job. He's going to take it. And it's up to him when he takes it. But right now, you're the starting fullback. Yeah. Right? But it's yours.
You don't even have to tell anyone who's starting.
No, you do that for behavioural reasons. Yeah. It's yours. You've got it. It's for you to lose, And you do the flip on the other side, don't you? Patterson, it's for you to take. Yeah. The guys you're competing with, Coleman, about to retire probably, Ashley Young, debatable whether we give him longer. Then you're into Dixon, aren't you? And people like that. So it's theirs for you to take. But if you don't perform, somebody else is going to get it. Yeah,
yeah. I mean, a lot of it does come down to the wages. Of course, we want to try and trim down on this wage bill. And going back to your thought about Gay. I mean, I didn't know he was on 120 grand. That is a lot of money. Of course it is. And it's way more than we should be paying for any player, I think, really. But I just believe he is pivotal to us. And if we're going to go with that, right, we're going to get this young talent to come in and start fresh, I think we would need him as someone who's a stable player, a reliable player. But you're right, the wage is quite a lot. But I would keep him regardless, just because I think he's just one of our better players, and you just can't get rid of your better players, even if it's costing a bit more.
Unless when he goes, you're bringing in a player who would be better and younger.
Yeah, if we can sort of, well, there's no guarantees, of course, but I mean,
but all these decisions, my friend. Sorry, I beg your pardon. Go on. Sorry.
He's a consistently good performer, and they're kind of a bit like sort of gold dust, really.
The thing about it is, though, you've got to be ruthless, haven't you? Like we're seeing with Liverpool are over arguably one of the best players in the world right now. You have to have. You can't be dictated to by the player if you already know what you're willing to give that player. And I'd keep it just Gay for a year, but his wages would come down.
I would
significantly. Well, you can't afford to pay him that kind of money at that age.
Okay.
So
all right.
So I would.
And he's not going to do that. He's not.
So
do that, is he?
Well, he might.
Well, if he doesn't, does he? If he doesn't want to play in the Premier League any longer, then see you later, mate. Take your money and go and play in Saudi then, if that's what you want. If that's what you want. He looks like someone who's still got something to offer the Premier League, and he wants to be in the Premier League. He'll be with Everton. If he doesn't want to be in the Premier...
Sorry to cut you off, mate. Are you sort of saying he's not worth that 120 because of his age?
No, of course he's not. Of course he's not. There's not a chance on earth he's worth £130,000 a week. He doesn't score. He doesn't offer assists week in and week out. Even though I love a Disagana game to death, but you can't be playing. This is what Liverpool are going through right now. They're not willing to give Salah
what he wants,
because he knows that every single person that comes behind him then will want that wages and more.
Right.
And he's their best player, but they've got to stop that number at some point. They've got to get the wage down.
Inflation has to stop.
It has to stop, and it has to stop at Everton. We cannot be paying anybody over £100,000, and anyone we are paying £100,000 has to be doing it week in and week out. We're a team that has been around
scoring goals, assists.
Yeah,
because that's essentially what we're talking about, isn't it?
And also though, and this is the most important thing, is you give that money to somebody who you could sell for £70 million. So you could have a situation where you've got you offer Branthwaite a new contract, knowing that in the next 2 years someone's going to come along and give you £50 million plus for him. So whatever you give him now to keep him at Everton for the next 2 years is going to be repaid in someone coming in and buying him off you. Garner has absolutely no sell-on value, and I as much as I love him, I know that we could replace Garner quite easily.
Okay,
we just haven't been able to do it so far. You can't be. You've just said it yourself in a way with Decore. No, Decore's at the other end of the spectrum, where he's getting X amount, and we're all like, there's no chance you can give him that. But that could be Garner in a year's time, couldn't it? And I just think that as a football club, the wages have to come tumbling down.
Yeah, they do. Yeah,
absolutely. And if you're going to run a successful club, you hear these players sometimes, they were like, I was on £15,000 playing in the Bundesliga, and then a Premier League club come in for me, and now I'm on 10 times that.
Yeah.
And in an instant, because they become a Premier League player, well, there's so much value out there that we haven't been able to tap into. And when they first come in, you give them a little bit, and then when they come to their second contract, you give them a little bit more, because they are worth so much to you as a commodity. So Moyes, when he was thirsty, and people forget this, or maybe people are not aware of this, anyone who got to 30 was only given a 1 year deal. And Alan Stubbs was in the prime of his career, and Moyes said to him, it's only 1 year. What did he do? He threw his toys out the pram. He left to go to Sunderland, and 6 months later he was back with his tail between his legs because it hadn't worked out. All because he wanted an extra year. Moyes said, if you do well in that year, you get another year. You do well in that year, you get another year.
That's what Wenger used to do as well.
You can't. We've been collecting players, haven't we, and for high amount of wages, and then they've all been going out the door for nothing, and that's why Everton are where they are. Forget about what we bought players for. It was the fact that they went out the door for nothing after. So I think that's the most important thing for me when you're talking about wages, is like, it's just a kind of game. If you want to be in a Premier League with Everton next season, like, will help us secure that first. But if you want to be here, I'm sorry, but your wages are going to have to be cut dramatically if you want to be here next season.
70, 80, you're thinking?
If what?
A 70 or 80 grand maybe.
Not a chance. 30 grand. Much, huh? 35 grand to 50 grand at the most.
Okay, see you later then,
I tell you what, guys. Because you can do this yourself, mate, if you want, whenever. Spotrac.com, right? They're guessing to a large degree on what the wages are of players, but they recognise as the guys who are as close as anybody. If I just read down the list of the highest paid players at Everton, tell me what you think they've got in common, right?
Okay.
In order of how much they get paid, this is from biggest to smallest. Decore, Pickford, Gay, Calvert-Lewin, Tarkowski, Harrison, Keane, Mikalenko. Now you're at 50-ish with Mikalenko. The thing they all have in common, with the exception of Pickford and Tarkowski, they're all out of contract.
Yeah.
This is the once every blue moon opportunity to do the reset that Ped's talking about.
Right,
And you need to be brutal at the time.
And you have to break this cycle. Just seeing someone put there, what planet are you on? The average age in the league is 60 grand. Who cares what the average age is? If you're talking to a 35-year-old player on a 1-year deal and he wants the wages he's on, you tell, see you later, mate. See you later, because people have got to get real about wages. The best players in the country can earn whatever they want. The reason why the average wage is 60 grand is not because everyone's on 60 grand. It's because there's a load of players on massive wages. And they deserve it. But we have to get real about this. Everton Football Club cannot afford to be playing players who are over 30, ridiculous amounts of money. We need to change. We need to swap this round. You need to start offering 23 and 24-year-olds good wages. That's who need, because they're the players who are in. That's where the prime is now. 24 to 28 your prime now. Because everyone's getting younger and fitter and sharper, and teams are playing players who are much younger. If you're paying, if we're going to start continuing to paying 35-year-olds over £100,000, this club will not be able to continue, to cling on.
I completely agree. I just think Ghana is a special case because
but he's not that special, though, is he?
Well, not
I love Ghana,
grand a week special, no. But what I mean is that if we're going to go for these new players, I just think we would need someone in there just to sort of steady the ship, if you like. But you're right, 120 grand is way.
Here's a question for you.
Yeah.
Here's a question for you. Do you want one Ghana Gay or 6 Tim Irabunums? Because they cost you the same in wages.
Okay. Well, when you put it like that, then.
We'll put it. Yeah, there's another way of looking at it, and I'm not. Don't know what he.
We'd all keep Gay, by the way.
But I don't. I love this a Ghana Gay. I back him every single week. But you have to make these decisions. There's no way, like Seamus Coleman in the summer would have got a new contract on any more money.
No.
Any more money.
No.
And you have to figure out, Adesina Gay at some point is going to hit a wall. And I know we're not talking about Adesina Gay as such, but you really have to look at the situation as a whole and get a wage structure, because if it, and this is the point, this is why I reference Liverpool. If you offer Adesina Gay the same as what he's on now, and I don't know what he's on now, right? But if you offer them what he's on now, and then you have this player that is really good and comes into the squad, or someone
they
like
do talk to each other,
or Branthwaite, and you say to Branthwaite, want to give you a new contract, mate. We know the Wolves are at the door, but we really want you to stay because it's a new era. He's going to go, make me the highest paid player at this club, and you look at it and go, well, our highest paid player is at 100 and whatever, and you go, suddenly you've got to give Branthwaite 100 and whatever, and that's what Liverpool are facing right now. Yeah. They know that if they give Salah X amount, then Trent Alexander-Arnold's just going to go, well, I want that as well. And Virgil van Dijk wants that as well at the same time. And it's going to cripple clubs. As football as a whole should be trying to get players' wages down. It should be trying to get them down, because the average player just isn't worth what they're getting paid. It's as simple as that. They've been milking the system for too long. And it needs to come down. They make enough money, and also they make enough money off their other things, their boot deals, their adverts. I mean, you can't put the telly on at the moment without Trent Alexander-Arnold being on an advert. And fair play to him, he deserves it, and I'm happy for him. Local boy, done well, all that stuff. No problem with that at all. But if that means Liverpool go, well, actually, have you seen Conor Bradley here? He's cracking right back.
And he's on 20 grand a week.
We don't need to give you that money.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that's where football as a whole has to get its head around. And that's where we go back to the Mykolenko thing. Mykolenko might be on X amount of money. We find another player who we can bring in cheaper, who's better, and we have, that's the cycle's got to start going down, not up for a club like Everton. That's where PSR is absolutely. We've made a mess of it.
It sort of comes to my final point before I go with Moyes. I think he's got a great opportunity here, actually, Moyes, with all these players out of contracts and these loanings. I think he can really have a massive clear out of what he doesn't want to do. But my question to you is it, do you think Premier League teams can still do that well by buying these players, maybe inexperienced, for a low fee and low salary, and still perform well? I mean, the reason why these players are expensive because they're performing, right?
Bournemouth.
Yeah.
Bournemouth bought a left back for how much did they pay for that left back, Baz? 18 million for EVERTON. They're probably going to sell him to Liverpool for 70 million to replace Robertson, who they paid 15 million pound for. So there's a fantastic there's lots of good players out there. All they need is opportunity and coaching, and I think
what do you make of Everton's scouting system?
It's terrible.
Is it that bad?
No, I don't know if it's terrible. I'm just saying I think it's terrible. I think the fact that Everton can't seem to find good players with the right ingredients and mould them is we buy players, but where's the players with the pace? Why didn't we buy anyone with pace in the last 3 years? Why does it always go back to the same two players? Why do we keep going around the same players all the time? Why haven't we got? I see people in the comments giving me names all day long with players that are out there. That Bournemouth's defence when we played them 2 weeks ago, there was no one older than that back four than 24. So they've all been bought and put into that team and been given an opportunity, and we didn't lay a glove on them all game. And they're out there. You've just got to find them.
The highest paid player at Bournemouth earns £50,000 a week less than Decore.
There you go.
Okay. Well, hopefully Moyes can sort of grab this by the neck and start getting bargains like he used to, like the Artetas and the players, the Cahills, and find sort of little hidden gems like that. I'm just not sure if that happens so much.
It doesn't happen, Sharpie, because no one is prepared to give players
to take the risk,
an opportunity. And actually, let's not forget, Moyes bought Bowen when Everton were looking at him, and Moyes stole in, got him, and has made him an England international, a captain of West Ham, someone they can rely on week in and week out. So
clubs do find those gems, but you have to your name needs to begin with B.
Jared Brantwaite's one.
Yeah, but the club's name needs to begin with B. Because Brighton, Brentford and Bournemouth seem to manage it, don't they?
Yeah. Sharpie, thanks for your call, mate.
Good one.
Yeah,
good start.
Nice one, mate.
Good one, lads. All
good
the
one,
best.
nice one.
Cheers, matey. Take care.
Who's got Gaz? Get Gaz on. Come on. Let's get Gaz on.
Patient Gaz.
The dulcet tones of Gaz.
Oh, yeah. 3 hours, the kid waiting.
Yeah.
Go on, mate. Go on, we can hear you. Go on.
Yeah, firstly, for once, I'm not going to be slagging off Dice, which is absolutely beautiful for me. I've got a couple of points, but I'll go back to what they were just saying for the last caller, Sharpie. On about over 100 grand a week, there is 2 players in our team who deserve that. One is Pickford. Simple as, he's England's number 1. He's committed to us.
Yeah.
I think he deserves that. Brantwaite, I'd give him that just because of the sell-on value. Everyone else who's on more than that should not get a new contract.
Well, certainly not a new contract on that money.
Unfortunately,
go on, sorry, John.
Go on, Gaz.
I'm just going to agree with you, Gaz, because fortunately those players who are on that 100 grand, who you wouldn't give it to them because they're not Jordan Pickford and they're not Brantwaite, they're all out of contract in the summer. So it's as Ped says, be bold and just say to them, this is the new offer, if you like, this is the new wage structure.
And also Sharpie as well prompted me to say when he said it was controversial about Decore. It's not controversial. I won't give him 100 quid. Never mind. I think
you're really on the fence there, mate, aren't you?
No, I think, honest to God, I was watching and I seen so many positives at the weekend. So many things but Decore, every single time he got the ball in a promising position, it was just like, yeah, let's see what he does to it up now. He's just, I don't know. I just don't know how. Even Moyes now, he's seen him in Villa against Villa, and he was crap.
Do you know what, Gaz? I will slightly disagree with you, mate, because I thought he pressed really well on Sunday. I did, mate. I did, honestly. I thought he pressed well. I thought the last 20, 30 minutes his legs completely went and he needed to come off the pitch. But I thought he pressed well. Now, that isn't a long-term thing. Don't get me wrong. But I did think he pressed well, and sometimes you need those players in your team, but not long term, don't get me wrong. I just don't think there's anyone to replace him right now till we get EVERTON and Garner back.
Would you not see anyone there if it's just for pressing?
No, because I think
anyone can press.
I don't think they can, mate, honestly. I don't think they can, because I think it has to be... I think there's a... I think it has to be done at the right time. And I do slightly disagree with you, just because if that's what Moyes is doing right now, that's the stall he's setting out. I think, and the other side of that is that clearly for the last 30 minutes he was terrible, like absolutely terrible, and we went over that on the final word how bad he was. But even in that last 30 minutes, he wasn't willing to take him off, so he thinks there's actually nobody on the bench who could replace him in that last 30 minutes, which is slightly worrying.
It's not slightly, it's very worrying.
And that's, in the next few weeks, that's all about getting Harrison Armstrong to that level where he understands when he has to press. Because it is an important thing if you're going to do it properly. Because we said it the other day, when people are clapping McNeil for running around like a headless chicken, that's not pressing. That's leaving your position. So, don't get me wrong, I think he needs to be replaced. I just don't think right now in the squad we've got that till someone like EVERTON and James Garner come back. But I do take your 100%.
Point. EVERTON's the one for me.
I agree, mate.
For that position.
I agree.
I think he'd be brilliant. Next thing is the pressing. Like I say, it's absolutely beautiful to see. My missus was watching the match with us. Like I say, I can't go now with me at the minute. Hopefully he'll be back before the end of the season. But she went, that's what you mean when you're on about press him high.
Yeah.
Because she actually admitted, me and my lab were going press him high, and she never knew what we were on about. Watching Everton.
No, that's
and
pressing.
Then watching that, she actually got it. Because it was such a stark change. And it just shows, do you think the players are literally down tools under Dyche after watching that?
John?
I think they were doing as they were told.
As they always do.
Because that's what professional footballers do. And I think the manager who clearly, if it's true that he went to the ownership or to the leadership locally and said, I've taken this squad as far as I can take them, he must have known that a long time before he said it. And none of us saw anything changing, did we? So he was stuck in his ways. His ways weren't working. A new manager comes along and goes, well, we can do things differently here. Why hasn't this O'Brien bloke had a game? Let's give him a game, see what happens. Yeah. You know? And I think all Moyes has done so far, and he's not been here long enough to do anything else, is he's done a few obvious things, like giving a guy a chance who hasn't had one. And he's seen positive outcome, and he's done the motivation piece, hasn't he? And part of that is telling all the players that it's a clean sheet. You're all going to perform for me now. I've got no favourites. I will have down the track, but those favourites will have earned it. So
I think Dyche.
I don't think players ever down tools per se.
I just think Dyche was very, very lucky that he's clearly got a lot of friends in the media and a lot of friends in football that he's made through the years, that no one actually put any kind of spotlight on.
No one called him out, really.
The media just don't. The media. I've noticed this trend recently, and it's probably not even a recent thing. The media don't call anyone out now. They just don't. They don't say when someone should, even when it's so obvious that someone should be sacked. No local journalist, no national journalist, no one will put their head above the parapet because they're all so terrified. If a journalist from the Echo said, I think it's time he should be sacked, he ain't going to the press conference on the Friday or the Thursday, and that means that if he can't be at the press conference, he can't do his job, and that's the problem now. There's no actual ability to say that what you think, because everyone's just obviously worried about their own job, because sadly that's what they've created within the Premier League, of not actually being able to do their job properly and say what they think. And it's become I've seen it with journalists. I know ex-players won't say it because they're terrified in case they ever have to sit across the room of a desk to speak in an interview. people won't say, "Oh, I really like the fella, but maybe this and maybe that," and without actually saying the words, he should not be in a job. It's actually time to get rid of him now. It's sad, and it's embarrassing, and the national media backing him because he said, he said, you said when he got sacked and Ian Ladyman had put, well, Everton have signed the relegation thing and all that. You're like, what have you been watching? What have you been watching? Because it isn't what we've been watching. And I think a game like Sunday in its isolation just shows straight away that we can play in a different way, and we have to play like that now every week for it to be the real Everton. We've only seen it once. That to be the real Everton has to be every week. But Let's go on, guys.
I think Njai said it because he went, we actually knew what we were doing. Basically, if you've seen Njai's interview, he actually said we knew what we were doing. There was some direction.
That's
I don't
scary,
know if you've
isn't it?
seen that interview.
I've not seen it. Have you, Ped?
I've heard the quotes. Yeah.
Scary, that, isn't it?
Yeah. But it is, though, isn't it? You know, someone's put there, Mason calls people out, but I don't know. Mason's that will call people out, but he's also the first person to say you've lost your mind when you do sack a manager like Sean Dyche, isn't he? Because they can't see, they don't watch Everton enough, so they can't see the bigger picture. No. So there's no, you never get. They'll do it when it's I'll tell you when they will do, and it's a foreign manager and they don't know them. Then it makes it dead. They'll say what they want. They'll go, he's got to go. It's Manchester United, all that. When it's a foreign manager, they have no problem calling out a manager. But when it's a British manager and, if they've put the hard yards in and all that, why aren't we giving them a job? Because they show football like that. That's why.
And he'll be on Soccer Saturday, sat next to him in a couple of months.
Exactly, and you're absolutely right, mate. You're absolutely right, because in a few weeks he might be sitting next to him doing a match with them. Yeah, and that's just the truth, isn't it, of the way it is now.
He'll be in a studio every time there's a relegation battle on. Yeah.
I would have done this, would you? Yeah, well, how come you didn't?
I can't wait for his book to come out anyway, because he's promised us a book, hasn't he? And he told us he would never lie to us. Yeah. So that book's going to be fascinating. Yeah,
9 books, isn't it? It's a series, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's going to be like Game of Thrones.
But when the lawyers, it might take 10 years for the lawyers to approve some of the stuff, mightn't they?
Yeah, so. Fair play. Go on, guys.
And the last thing, I don't know, because like I said, what I do is I binge watch in the evening. So I posted something before about registering players.
Yeah.
I don't know if you covered that.
No, we talked about that before, and to be honest, we haven't got a clue.
Did.
It was a really good point. Basically, the point was, can't Everton just not register Brozier for the second half of the season? But if you think about it, he'd still be on loan, wouldn't he?
Yeah,
we just wouldn't play him, but he'd still be on loan. Because if you think about it, if we had the player that we bought and we didn't register him, he'd still be playing for Everton. When you take a player on loan, you de facto sign that player for whatever that length is, and your player. So
it's a fixed term agreement.
So
but it's a Premier League rule. So if he's not registered for the Premier League,
but he'd still be our player. So therefore, he'd still be on loan, I think. So therefore, it wouldn't free up a loan spot.
John's looking like he never heard this before. So
I've not heard the question. I'm trying to think why anyone would think there's a way around it.
What the question was is, Chelsea won't take Brozier back. We're going to have to pay his wages anyway. Just don't register him with the Premier League. Can we now get another player on loan because he's not registered as an Everton player with the Premier League?
Well, he is registered as a Premier. He is registered.
Yeah, but you can break the register in January.
You get to re-register.
You can break the registration, but he'd still be on loan though. Yeah. That's the thing.
But he won't be registered with the Premier League.
But he'd still be on. I know. But he'd still be on loan.
Generally speaking, when you have rules, right? If you do something just to circumvent the rule, then an arbiter would say that you can't do it. So my intuitive response is no, it wouldn't make a black.
I'd just send them back and pay what they want. Yeah, that's what I'd do.
Because if you deregister them just to create a slot, you're trying to create a slot in your squad, not in your allowance for loans, because as you say, he's still an employee of the football club.
I'd just send them back.
And Chelsea will take him back. It's just arguing about the money.
Yeah, I'd just take him back, guys, if I was honest. Just send them back and then pay what they want, and it's done, isn't it?
I would imagine right now Everton know what the cost is of sending him back. And if we find a player that we want, which we can only take on loan, and we need to free up that slot, then we'll free up the slot, won't we?
Yeah.
If we don't find the player, therefore we don't need the slot,
Yeah.
then we won't send him back probably if the sum is lower.
Yeah.
If we just do the rehab ourselves.
Yeah.
And then
There you go.
we talked about this, me and you, Baz, didn't we? I think because he may then play a couple of games at the end of the season. Who knows?
Get rid of him. Honest.
No, I'm talking about if you end up in the place
get another
where
injury.
he's still here. Yeah.
Trip over a marshmallow or something.
And the one we're on about replacing him was Chilwell. Thoughts on that?
No.
Another sick note.
No,
Yeah.
no, not having that. Right, nice one, Gaz.
Good one, mate. Again. Yeah.
You gone?
Cheers, no worries.
Cheers, guys.
There he's going.
Nice one.
Bye.
See you later, mate. Who have we got now? Get Eddie on in Texas. Okay, let's get him on then.
Where about in Texas?
Hello, Eddie.
How are you guys doing?
I'm all right, mate. How are you?
It's good. We had snow in
Wow.
Texas. It's crazy.
Is that like is that the first time you've ever seen snow in Texas?
Nah, I went to school up in Iowa, so I had.
Yeah, but I've just said
real bad
Texas.
snow.
Iowa's not
Oh,
Texas.
Oh yeah, in Texas, yeah.
That's like me
it was-
saying, "Oh, have we ever seen snow?" Yeah, I put the telly on and saw the Arctic.
Yeah, no, it's the first time that I've lived in Texas that I've seen snow.
Remind us where about you are in Texas.
San Antonio, so
San
southern
Antonio.
Texas.
Yeah, nice. Wow,
Yeah, I was.
the world's
it
really
was-
going mad, isn't it? If you're getting snow.
Yeah, no, it's funny. No one knows how to like deal with it here. It's pretty bad.
You want to deal with it over here, Ed? The world just goes mental when we get snow in this country. Honestly, it just can't cope. This country can't cope with any kind of weather. It's mad. The whole country just stops for whatever, however long. It's bizarre.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought you guys actually got snow out there. But
Not really, not anymore.
No,
Not anymore. But it's some places. Go on. What have you got to say then?
Okay, so for me, it was just more on the transfer side, just because that's all I kind of want to happen now. Like we won a game, so I'm pretty happy with that. So I would just like new players now. So I was looking at a couple players. This is the question where like, would players that are playing in the Champions League, but like for like a Benfica or like a PSV, would they find it like a step below to come to Everton, and if that's the case, is it more like do we have to pay them more to come here, and would that affect like the earlier discussions that were on the call about like PSR with wages and stuff? Because like, go for it.
Go on. I was just going to say, I would imagine just straight off the bat, what we can pay wages wise for those players would obviously diminish what they're getting paid now. And also, a lot of teams say in Portugal or Holland, their whole business model is to sell players on to the Premier League. It's because they've got, not only do they have certainly in Portugal, that they can bring players in from South America a lot easier because of the language and because of the climate, and it's just a lot easier. The way they try to train players up and put them into their team earlier, and then those by that they also get into the Champions League. They get a lot more experience a lot quicker than players in England do. As I said, in a more favourable climate and things like that, and then they come to Prem. We pay money for the kind of money which keeps a lot of these clubs going, and if you look at the track record of Benfica, Porto and Sporting Lisbon, I'd say in the last 20 years, I would say most of their players end up in the Premier League or La Liga, and they just replace them with the next one. I mean, they wasn't that long ago they were selling a player to Chelsea for £100 million who they paid, I think, about $5 million for, who have the very good World Cup, and then the next one is playing in the Premier League for £100 million, and then they just go and get a replacement because they don't need someone technically as good as that player. They just need someone they can bring in and train up. So I think, that will always be there. And I think, as we said before, Bournemouth have used that from Spain extremely well. And I think most countries will sell to Premier League clubs, and most players will come to Premier League clubs
There's a big pull
because of the wage. The wages are so much. I mean, you just listen to the conversation we had about Gisagana Gay and Decore. I mean, type of money. I mean, that's life changing money for a lot of these players.
Benfica are as close as you get to regular appearances in the Champions League, aren't they? and their wage bill is 2/3 of Everton's.
Yeah.
And we're talking about ours being too high.
Yeah.
But the pull of the Premier League is players who are playing in those leagues will first off get in the Premier League, then get in the big club in the Premier League, and then the world's your oyster, isn't it? Yeah. And that's what your Bournemouth of this world have done.
Yeah.
You know, they pick up those players. They have a pathway, particularly if they're young, into the first team where they can shine. And if they shine, they're moved on, aren't they?
Yeah.
And what you just said about a Benfica or Sporting or Porto, who are by far the three biggest clubs in Portugal, is very much about pathways into the team.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like yesterday, I was watching the Champions League game of Barcelona versus Benfica, and like
Crazy
there's
game,
a lot
wasn't
of
it?
like
Yeah,
no, it was mental, but there's a lot of like Benfica players that like I feel would do a great job here. It's just like I don't know if they would be willing. Like the left back, Careas, he was in the Manchester United academy, and then he went over to Benfica.
Yeah.
So I don't know if he would be like that's a player I was looking at, and then their left winger, it's another. I think he's the Norwegian dude. I can't pronounce his name. It's like Andreas Slorop or something like that. I also
Sounds
thought he
right.
was really good, and he had a lot of pace, and I was like, I wish we had those types of players that they're both young, but I also don't think they would cost a lot of money. By the
Well, look at like Victor Gyökeres, right? He's
I
gone.
was just gonna mention
He's
it,
gone.
yeah.
Obviously, Everton couldn't afford them at the time. No club in this country thought he could make the step up. He's gone to Portugal. He's done unbelievably well, and he will come back to the Premier League next season. And you know that's he's had to go to Portugal, show how good he is. Had a manager that loads of faith in him, and I imagine in the summer Manchester United will look at him. Arsenal might look at him if they haven't already bought somebody. And maybe a couple more, maybe like a Villa, if they sell John Duran, let's say, might look at him because he's full of power and pace. And sometimes a player has to make that move, but they will always, I guarantee they will always want to leave Portugal for the Premier League. Like, you'd be mad not to. The money on offer is crazy compared to what they're on in Portugal.
Now he's a good, because I was going to mention him as well, but a good shout. He's nearly 27. You know, and he's bounced round the Championship with Coventry and loans with Swanseas of this world over the last 4 or 5 years. The chances are he hasn't hugely improved in the last 12 to 18 months, has he? But he's got better players around him. And he's gone from, 1 in 3-ish at Coventry to goal a game, hasn't he, at Sporting?
Yeah.
Including in the Champions League at the best. So for all we know, there are players right now in the Championship, if you put better players around them in the Premier League, they cut the mustard. But no one takes the chances, mate. That's the point. And I think you nailed it. He had to go to another league where he gets looked at differently.
But the thing about it is, though,
to come back again.
The thing about it is, Ed, is that a lot of these players, a lot of these clubs, they don't want to do the hard work.
No.
They allow someone else to take the risk for them.
Yeah.
And then they go, right, that's not a risk. And actually, look at Man City in the last 3 days. They've dropped, £100 million on 3 players. That's what's that to them? That's nothing. That is a drop in the ocean to them. And they've just brought 3 quality players that they know are good players. It's not earth-shattering amount of money for them, the amount of money they make and have. So, you know, the 3 players, the clubs have been well compensated. The players will be paid well, and they're just chaining another 3 players in, and they'll get some out. And actually, people like Kyle Walker, who are probably on a hell of a lot of money, will leave the club. And so, I always think that's going to always be the pipeline, and it's up to Everton to actually start using that pipeline because they haven't been able to do it. I remember a couple of years ago, Bournemouth bought a player and they were competing with Milan for the player, and Milan turned around and said, we simply can't compete with a Bournemouth for the wages on this player. And they can't. That's why we're seeing a lot of like 27, 28-year-olds being linked with Milan now from the Premier League, because the Premier League is just doesn't want to be bringing in players at that age anymore. They're looking at young players, 22, 23, offering them ridiculously long contracts, because that's the other thing as well. Chelsea, Man City offering ridiculous long contracts. That's them sewn up for life. That's them sorted. So I hope Everton start using and start looking at those countries and start to look to bring players in.
And if you,
there's one last player that real quickly is Samuel Chukwueze, the one from Milan.
Yeah,
He's injured, but I was a Milan. I like to watch the Milan games.
Yeah.
Because of Ibra, and he seems to have fallen out of favor with the current manager. So, like, if he was an availability for loan, like he's injured right now, would
Yeah.
you guys take him?
But we
'Cause
were
I
linked
think
with
he's
him when he was
fast
at.
and more direct.
We were linked with him when he was at Villarreal, weren't we? I think.
Yeah.
So, and it was because of not only the financial situation, but I think, was it when Lampard was the man? Chukwueze was Lampard, wasn't he? So Everton had looked at him, I think, and Thelwell. What? Yeah. We've looked at him, Thelwell, and the managers couldn't agree. Listen, I don't know which way round, but they couldn't agree, and financially, we just maybe couldn't do the deal at the time as well because of PSR and because of obviously all the but the fact that we were in the room, even though we had no money, and these players were willing to listen to us, shows again the strength of the Premier League and a club like Everton. And it might be that next time we look at these players, we do have the financial clout and we can bring them in. So hopefully, hopefully that's what we do. But these players, it used to be like, imagine years and years ago, Everton looking at a player who's at Milan. You just. But now, if Everton wanted to go to Milan, a player from Milan, the player, unless he just wanted to be the grandeur of Milan. But I honestly believe now, most players want to play in the Premier League, and they don't really care who it's for.
It's rightly or wrongly, it's perceived to be the best in the world. And it's certainly the best paid.
And also, if you're at an Everton for a year, then you could do what like Onana did and make your way to a Champions League team within a year. And then within another year, you could be at one of the so-called big boys within a year. And that's the pathway.
Pathways.
That's the pathway they're all looking to get.
And just as evidence not that it always they don't always get it right. Yeah. The Swedes spent 3 years at Brighton. They spotted him, took him out of Sweden, bounced him round loans, and then let him go to Coventry. And now Sporting will presumably get 4 or 5 times what they paid for him when they move him on. All in the space of 18 months. Yeah. It's mad. Completely mad. Yeah. So if the question starts off with, is Everton scouting any good? It might be, is football scouting in general any good? It's not about the scouting bit. It's about being decisive in your decision making and putting your money where your mouth is.
Absolutely.
All those clubs who could have picked this guy up for 20 million euros.
Yeah.
At a time when we were buying Beto for more than that.
That's
Mad.
crazy.
Complete madness. Yeah.
Go on, Ed. Any more to add?
No, that was it. I was just,
Top man.
I just really hope we get a player here soon.
Yeah, I'm sure we will. Sure we will.
Yeah.
Hopefully this time next week we can have callers ringing us up about a player. Hopefully. I'm hoping anyway. Nice one, Ed. Thanks for your call, mate.
Bye.
See you later. Nice one to Ed there in Texas. Snow in Texas. It's the way it is. It's yeah. We won't linger on that too long. Yeah. So Saturday, tough game, John. Good side. They're coming into form at the right time, but let's just hope we have a plan.
Well, I'm sure we will. We will have, and hopefully the players know what it is. Yeah.
What Moyes is just keeping it.
Yeah. Well, it appears, if Mr. Ndai says at least we know what was expected of us now, then you wonder what was going on for the last 4 or 5.
Going back to the transfer talk, hopefully this is the last window where we were talking in terms of, it's tight and the PSR is a little bit tight. Hopefully the summer window is suddenly we have a little bit more money, a little bit more wiggle room, with the stadium and with new owners, and we're thinking a little bit more. And because of that, we have a 2, 3, 4, 5 kind of player list, because obviously we'll be letting players go. Players will be going back to their parent clubs, and hopefully, we see a little bit more. Not adventure. I don't want it to be stupid, because the last time we bought loads of players in at once, it didn't really work. Well, but that's why it's so important, isn't it, that the work gets done now?
It brings into sharp focus whether what's been going on over recent years is a very hard-working recruitment team not being backed by the ability to put down payments down or whatever, right? Yeah. Because 40 million quid's worth of wages are out of contract at the end of June. Yeah. And my fear an equal balance, I suppose, with excitement, yeah, is that we do bring in loads and loads of players. But if we bring in, which we have to, a significant number we'll call it, but they're all going to be guys we're going to put on 3-year contracts. We get it wrong, the cycle starts again.
Yeah.
So I really hope they have a really firm plan of what they're going to do, and they already know. Those 14 players or whatever it is, 12 players who are definitely out of contract.
Yeah.
You know, classic, give a deal to if it's right, but know what we want that deal to be. That's your Ganagay type, I suppose. Defo, you're going out the door. That's your Michael Keane sort of.
Yeah.
And then the ones you definitely want to keep around. And maybe you can make a particularly strong statement by just challenging someone like, not at a personal level, but a Branthwaite to say, we're going to make you the man.
Yeah.
Here's the highest wage any player at this football club has ever been offered, you know? And if nothing else, other clubs, you know, then have to try and match that. And you make it harder for them to get him, don't you? So
let me ask you this then. Me and Baz were talking about this before. If someone come in right now with an offer...
in January, you mean?
For an offer with Michael Keane.
Yeah.
Because Sheffield United apparently
rumoured to,
want him.
yeah.
Would you let him go?
Yes.
Now, would you look to bring in another maybe centre-back on a 6-month loan from somewhere then, just to have that protection?
I'd like to think the answer to that's no. How many do you need?
Well, you'd always like to have a player for every position. So if you're playing...
I get it.
You've got 2 centre-backs, you want 4 centre-backs, don't you?
Okay, yeah. So the 4 centre-backs, Jake O'Brien, Tarkovsky, Branthwaite, Mikolenko.
Mikolenko's not a left-back, not a centre-back, though.
No,
He's
I'm
a
talking
left-back.
about emergency use.
But we'll lose your emergency left-back then? Because that's... I don't...
I think the odds of you falling short...
No, but I don't subscribe to that because I worry that...
I wouldn't use a loan slot when we need...
No, but you get... Why an international loan spot? Just bring someone in for 6 months.
If you can do it at the right price, yeah. Because you're still going to save money on Keane.
You get like 8 million quid for Keane, and you get off.
Well, you save 80 grand a week as well.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But that crystallises as well. But how long's he been here? He's out of contract, so you're talking about a few months of a bit of amortisation to wipe out, right? But that would be more than compensated for by the fee that you get for him.
Yeah.
More than compensated. So you got upside, which gives you more headroom when you come to the summer, when you really want to try and put a squad together. But of course, always, yeah. But if you were hitting a conflict between what you can and can't afford, and you're left with a choice of, do I go and spend money on a player, i.e. a loan fee and their wages, who I hope I'm never going to use, versus getting something I really need in an offensive position, then I'd go on the offensive position and I'd take the calculated risk.
Okay. I just, for me, Mikolenko's left back, the centre back is, then you haven't got a left back.
That's what I'm saying to you. You can choose.
Although Brian Garsley just said sell Keane and recall Mason Holgate.
Yeah, well, he's out of contract as well, yeah. But yeah, that would go down well, wouldn't it? But when you say the Mikolenko thing, does that mean you want to get left back cover? Because what happens if he gets injured?
Well, that's the point. Yeah, but you haven't got a left. That's what I'm saying. You've got a left back and you've got cover in Ashley Young. So the minute you start saying, well, you're cutting down, aren't you? You always want 2 players for position. So if you go, well, because we've done this in the past, but he can play there. And then suddenly what you find is you're losing a player from his best position to cover somebody else. And it makes your team worse all the time.
No, I get that. I get that. I just think it's all about priorities. In isolation, I totally agree with you. If you're going to sell Michael Keane, you want some experienced cover for him, which you hope costs overall, be it loan fee and salary, substantially less than Keane was going to cost us with his inbound. You know, but if that's to the detriment of offensive positions, no.
I don't know how it would be though.
Well, because you can't have everything.
You can though. You could easily get a foreign loan in to play centre back.
You could get a foreign loan in to be a very speedy right winger.
You can get pretty much as many foreign loans as you want though.
No, you can't.
As long as they're not from the same club.
It's not unlimited.
Well, yeah, but it's not going to be to the point where...
You mean in practical terms, our affordability is less than what we could bring?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you could do both.
I don't know. Any centre-backs from Europe who you could get a good price?
I think you could get loads. There's
on,
loads knocking about. From good teams.
Gives one then. I couldn't do this to Baz because he'd reel them off.
I don't watch football's rubbish. I don't watch football.
Baz, who's this centre-back we pick up on an international loan? Who would you go for? Yeah. There you go. Okay. No, it's someone you don't expect to
What
play.
about thingy with Milan? Simon Kjaer. Doesn't play very often, though. Doesn't play very often.
So he wouldn't play very often here either.
We wouldn't play it very often here, but he'd be in the Premier League, though, wouldn't he?
Oh, I see. Right.
Earning a little wage while he's, you know, who wouldn't want to swap Milan for Crosby? Do you know what I mean?
And that's where we get to the nub of what we're talking about. We're going to find out when it really matters whether our inability in the past to get players over the line, whether it was an excuse, the reasons we didn't get them, or a real reason. Because the new owner's job is to remove that excuse, isn't it? Yeah. And no doubt we'll talk about that on BWB tomorrow if you like, Baz, because it's really going to become pertinent, isn't it? When you've got to deliver, you've got to deliver. And in an environment where it isn't easy, every club will know that we're short on numbers. Every player we look for, the price will go up, the wages will go up, and so on, which is why what you said, whenever it was, an hour ago, you've got to set out your stall about you're prepared to pay and not. Have your rules and don't breach them. Yeah. And let the whole industry know we're not going to be legged over.
I don't think anyone's gonna think that anyway. We haven't come into
individual agents do.
but we haven't come into like ridiculous amounts of money. Most owners in the Premier League now are billionaires, aren't they? So it's not like we've come into an amazing amount of money. I still think we're going to work deals the way we have. I don't think that much is going to change. It's just that I think now we're going to be able to fulfill some of those deals or if not all those deals that we couldn't before, by actually being able to pay money up front. And like we said yesterday, don't be dictated to by who you don't have to pay money up front for.
No, I get that. But I would offer you the view that if you've got a team which has been under pressure because it fails to get deals over the line, and an agent is doing the stonewalling bit on the wages of the player, and it turns into another £1 million and we'll have it, or another two, whatever it is. And in their ears is we've just saved 40 million on all the players who've gone out the door. That agent will secure a better deal than he would if those 40 million hadn't gone out the door.
Well, that's the.
I don't think there's any evidence that we're really hardball negotiators, and they need to be. And the easiest way to do that is to set the rules and just make it an edict from above. You stick to the rules.
We can't be hardball because we can't even pay money up front for players, so we haven't been able to be anything, are we, really?
That's to do with the club.
No, I know, but that's what I'm saying. You can't get to that end negotiation bit, can you?
I'm talking about the agent legging you over.
No, I know, but I'm saying we haven't even been able to get to that point, because if you can't pay the initial bit...
But if you've got your rules and you stick to them, then you play.
These strike me as people who don't get legged over.
Well, they're not going to be ringing Euston every afternoon saying, should we do this deal or not?
No, I know, but that's what I'm saying. You have those parameters already as part of the people who come in, don't you?
This is all Kevin Thelwell's job.
No, I don't think he'll have a job very long.
Well, fair enough. But somebody has to be the person who knows, A, we've defined the rules and which exceptions allow us to break those rules, whether it's length of contract for the age of a player and all those sorts of things. And you've got to be able to make those decisions literally in the moment, haven't you? And therefore you need to empower people. Yeah. You need to be able to say to whoever the negotiator is, we're not going to pay more than $2,000 a week for PED. But if the only way you can get it over the line is 10% higher, then you can do that. But we're only going to do that very rarely. And you as the individual stand and fall on whether it was worth breaking our rules for.
Well, I just think at the moment in the Premier League, most clubs who think like that are the ones who are becoming more and more successful.
Absolutely.
Because the ones who Man United are the biggest culprits. Yeah. It's clear as day that they just don't care.
Because they got so much money. Yeah.
What do you want? Oh, yeah. And it's massively come back to bite them, because, as we've experienced in the past, when you find out those players are rubbish, nobody wants to take them off you.
Yeah. It doesn't matter how scarce the resource is, right? That has a fixed price, a general price to it. If you want to pay too much, you're more likely to get it than not. Yeah, and that's what we did, a number of years ago. Yeah. I mean, if you look at the transfer dealings, say from Managerial onwards, and you see how much we spent in particular years, £200 million on players, and you try and sit down on your own with a cup of tea and go, where did it go? And that's the transfer fees.
Yeah.
And all the associated salaries will be with it, won't they? Because you said it all an hour ago or more. You buy a player for 75 million quid, and the first thing the agent thinks is, well, he's a 75 million pound player.
Wages.
Therefore, 75 million pound players get paid this. You know?
Yeah.
And how we end up with a Decore if he is on 130 grand a week is crazy. Because when he got that money, that was a lot of money. It's not now for the bigger clubs.
I still think it is a lot now.
No, it's not low, but you know what I mean? If you look at someone like Liverpool, they'll have,
but that's
they'll
the
have
point,
14, 15, 16 players on over 100
They're all
grand a week.
Champions League players. This
No,
is
that's what I
what
mean.
the argument we had when we were... people wanted us to keep James Rodriguez is if you're paying Champions League wages, you have to be in the Champions
Yeah,
League.
of course you do.
Cannot pay wages just because you like somebody or they do some little amazing trick now and again. Liverpool play Champions League wages because they're in the Champions League and they're going to win the Premier League.
Yeah. But even they have to pull the chain eventually.
Of course, because it can't get to a point where the player has to still be worth the value like Haaland is. Or they have to be worth what Salah, if he was 27, would be getting £400,000 a week. But because he's 33, he ain't getting £350,000.
He's on it already, isn't he?
That's what I'm saying. He ain't getting that next.
Well,
that's what I'm saying.
I don't know what he wants, to be honest. Does he want money per se, or i.e. headline weekly salary, or does he want a long contract?
Well, either way, isn't it?
Because they're the levers that you do.
Either way, it works out to the same amount of money, doesn't it?
No, well, yes and no, because if the guy, say, go back to the very strict rule on how much, length of contract. If Liverpool say to Mo Salah, right, we'll pay you 450 grand a week, but your contract's a year, because your age, it's just 1 year. And if you're still doing it, which you might say you will, then next time it'll be another 450 grand a week. So what we're not going to do is give you a 3.5-year deal on 450 grand a week, and then we find out this time next year, actually, you've hit the wall. And that's Rashford, isn't it? Not for various reasons. He's got a lovely big fat contract on crazy money, which nobody can afford. So Man United, whatever happens, are going to be paying for him forever and a day.
Blame Crystal Palace for all of this.
Why is it there for?
Wilfred Zaha.
It's
Telling
crazy.
you right now, blame them. They caused all this. Right, we're going. Big shout out to Fitzy, Toffee Blue, become a member tonight. Thank you very
well
much
done.
to me. Thank you for becoming a member. Right, we'll be back tomorrow, 1 o'clock on YouTube. We'll be doing tag at 1 because I think it's the press conference tomorrow, so we'll probably be back about 2 on YouTube. We'll catch you all then. See you later. Bye. Thanks for